Trouble finding dates? Are you a lonely virgin? Do you feel depressed and frustrated? Then come join us at incels.is today.
Can you elaborate about incel?
What is the new word, ansel? What is the word?
Incel. It's
Incel?
involuntary celibate.
Yeah.
I'm talking about these incel freaks.
When you say incels,
involuntary celibate.
I've never kissed a girl. I haven't gotten anything.
so that's just a short form for fellas who
Can't get laid.
Can't have sex. Right? Okay.
I would fight the bloodiest battle the world has ever seen and come back with no limbs if it meant that would guarantee me an ugly fat chick for life.
Somebody is outside one of the doors, shooting through the door.
Dispatch as many ambulances as possible.
There are as many as 40,000 incels, and the movement is growing.
It was Elliot Rodger who was the father.
Basically, the founding forefather of the entire movement.
Right.
Elliot Rodger decided to essentially commit an uprising, a beta uprising, if you will, against the Chads and the Stacies.
On Facebook, police say he wrote the incel rebellion has already begun.
Many of those who call themselves incel identify with this man, some even praising him. Self-described incels mostly congregate online. The common themes being anger.
Well, this is my last video. It all has to come to this. Tomorrow is the day of retribution. The day in which I will have my revenge against humanity.
Shots fired.
I'm 22 years old, and I'm still a virgin. I've never even kissed a girl, and it has been very torturous. It's not fair. You girls have never been attracted to me.
Yeah, he was a little cutie.
Yeah.
The little murder. He was a little cutie.
I don't know why you girls aren't attracted to me, but I will punish you all for it.
It's fucking hard out there for a pimp. I get it, but don't take a truck and run over a bunch of civilians because you can't get laid.
10 people died here today. How do you feel about that?
I feel like I accomplished my mission.
Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel.
Today I want to talk about incels who have been killing others. Incel is short for involuntarily celibate, meaning they want to get laid but they can't. And they're angry. And this group lives online, usually mostly on forums, on 4chan, Reddit, blah, blah, blah. Although most of the incels that live online don't go IRL in real life, a select few are going in real life and they're killing people. So there was a recent one that just happened.
Last night, the dark underbelly of a virtual world made real. Jake Davison described himself as an incel.
He was a troubled young man, unhappy with the hand life had dealt him.
I'm so beaten down and defeated.
A theme of his postings is his belief that he is unattracted to women and unable to get a girlfriend. He also researched online the culture known as incels, men who, like himself, view their own bodies as loathsome.
On a balmy summer's evening, a motorist's dashboard camera caught a chilling moment in an unfolding horror. A figure crouches over a shot victim, a woman who later died in hospital. It began when he kicked open a door and shot dead his mother, Maxine. In a 12-minute rampage, crane operator Jake Davison shot dead 2 men, 2 women, and a 3-year-old girl.
And that's what made me look into this incel thing. And then I fell down the rabbit hole of the whole inceldom within the manosphere and the black pill and all of that. And so I want to talk to you about it. It all started with the, quote, king of the incels, Elliot Rodgers, the supreme gentleman.
I don't know what you don't see in me. I'm the perfect guy. And yet you throw yourselves at all these obnoxious men instead of me, the supreme gentleman. I am, in truth, the superior one, the true alpha male. All of you sexually active men, I hate you. I hate all of you. If I can't have you, girls, I will destroy you. I would stop at nothing to reduce every single one of you to mountains of skulls and rivers of blood. I'll be a god. Yes.
Elliot Rodgers went on a, quote, day of retribution rampage, and he...
Elliot Rodgers uprising, what did he do?
I know he used a gun as well as a vehicle to convert the life status of certain individuals to death status.
He killed a lot of people.
On the day of retribution, I am going to enter the hottest sorority house of UCSB. And I will slaughter every single spoiled, stuck-up, blonde slut.
Roger killed 3 men inside his own apartment, all stabbed repeatedly. Roger then drove to the Alpha Phi sorority house, opening fire on young women in the area. Roger's next stop, that deli. Survivors say the suspect was smiling. Deputies chasing after him in his black BMW. The rampage ended with a crash.
It would appear as though he took his own life.
And he did all this just because he couldn't get laid. After Elliot Rodgers did what he did, it created a ripple effect. You see, what is going on right now is a beta uprising against the Chads and the Stacies.
Elliot Rodger decided to essentially commit an uprising, a beta uprising, if you will, against the Chads and the Stacies.
Alec Manassian, who boasted of being an incel, used a van to knock down and kill 10 people.
Was the gunman who shot 2 women to death at a yoga studio a woman-hating incel? Scott Beerley spewed misogynistic hate on YouTube, making clear he loathed women for rejecting him.
But they, in particular, are the epitome of arrogance.
So I slipped Euro-hypno when the opportunity shone. You even threatened me, so I beat you brutally.
In this YouTube video, he paid tribute to Elliot Rodger, a self-described incel.
We've got multiple gunshot wounds.
And then you hear rapid fire again.
We're going to need multiple ambulances on scene.
The shooter is Chris Harper Mercer, a student at the college, his life now the focus of a massive investigation.
Shocked is all I can say. I can't answer any questions right now. I don't want to answer any questions right now.
Oh my God, someone's shooting at Westgate. Hurry up, please.
And the search for the shooter.
What's your name? My name is Armando.
He tells the detective that he was bullied in school and wanted a relationship.
Barely feel like I've been humiliated here and there for like these past times. I had all 3 magazines in there. I'm fired.
To get respect.
Yes, to get respect.
Now, to understand how we got here, you need to go back to the 90s when the word incel was created. Real quick, I just want to say that this video is sponsored by me. Me. Hear me out, beanies. They're replicas of my tinfoil hat, except they're beanies. Beanies. I'll be sending them to you in a foil mailer, you know, for the tinfoil experience. Aluminum foil, I know, whatever. Beanies. Because oddly enough, incel was actually invented, the concept, by a queer, progressive, feminist college student in Canada. Her name is Alana, and she also couldn't get laid. On the Wayback Machine, the Internet Archive, it shows her little website from the 90s, Alana's Involuntary Celibacy Project. So she thought about several different things like perpetually single or late bloomer or non-bloomer, but then she settled on involuntarily celibate. She said, quote, "I was trying to create a movement that was open to anybody and everybody. It was just people who couldn't get laid and wanted to get laid." She started a newsletter that was called INCEL, and that kind of, people had a hard time pronouncing it, so someone suggested just take the V out and call it INCEL. And that was the name of her email newsletter that she would send out. And then that name kind of took a life of its own. Oddly enough, at the time that this thing was taking off, Alana was stepping back. She dated guys, she dated girls, and then she no longer identified as an incel. So she gave the site away to a stranger. And that's when things changed. After Alana left her website, 2 forums began to gain popularity. INCELsupport.com and loveshy.com. But there was a difference between those 2 forums. Incel Support was kind of like Alana's original website, very inclusive, strict moderators, no hate speech allowed. On the other hand, Loveshy started to become very angry. The posts, the moderators there were not strict at all. So it became a place where you could say what you want to say. And so all the angry people that maybe felt silenced on INCELsupport.com went to Loveshy, and it became a different environment. It was overwhelmingly male and angry. What happened was an overlap, because the 4chan, trolling, shit posting, Reddit, that world began to overlap with people who identified as incels. 4chan is the final frontier in the wild, wild web. It really is the last kind of anything goes kind of place on the internet. So that community, part of those people felt like they were incels too. Incel forums started to kind of become like 4chan forums. In doing research for this video, I was joining different forums, I was reading a lot of posts, trying to get a feel for, the vibe of the situation. And there's a whole language, and it's crazy. It's pretty, some of it you guys are gonna think is offensive, and don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you what I found, okay? In the world of the inceldom, there is a hierarchy, a social hierarchy based on attractiveness. At the top are the Stacies and the Chads. These are the alphas. They're the most attractive. Everybody loves them. Everyone wants to look like them. Incels hate Chads and Stacies. They want the Stacies, but the Stacies want the Chads, so they hate the Chads. And they resent the Stacies for not wanting them.
So explain to me this movement. What's this movement about?
It's basically a movement of angry incels, such as myself, who are unable to get laid. Therefore, we want to overthrow the Chads, which would force the Stacies to be forced to reproduce with the incels.
Right, okay.
Stacies and Chads are usually described as having white features. However, there are Chads and Stacies of all ethnicities, and there's names for them too in the incel world, okay? In the incel language, a Tyrone is a black Chad. If you're an East Asian Chad, you're a Chang. South Asian is called Chad Prit. My personal favorite is an Arab Chad, which is a Chadam. So these are the whole Chads and Stacies, like the higher level, the best of the best. Beneath the Chads and the Stacies are the Beckys and the Brads. Now the Beckys and the Brads, they're attractive. They're just not as attractive as the Stacies and the Chads. The next rung, which is the normies. Normies are normal people, average, basic.
Normie means normal people. That would be anyone who is considered to be normal by the unfair standards of society. We don't necessarily wish to kill the normies, but we do wish to subjugate them.
Beneath the normies are the incels. The incels, they identify as the lowest rung, the untouchables if there was a caste system, right? And nobody wants them, and they're mad at the world. Now, just like there are different kinds of Chads, there are different kinds of incels. So first there is what they call a true cell. A true cell is an incel that has never ever had sex ever. Then there are fake cells. Fake cells are people who pretend to be incels, but they've recently had either a girlfriend, a boyfriend, a relationship, something. Then there are mare cells. Those are celibate people who are married. Probably a lot of mare cells. High cells are incels who aren't having sex with other people because they're high. They have high standards. But this article says that they are not to be confused with height cells, which is a man whose lack of height renders him an incel. And then if you're a white supremacist who's an incel, you're known as a storm cell. keeping with the racial thing, you know, the East Asian incels call themselves rice cells. The South Asian incels call themselves curry cells. And then there's the all-encompassing ethnie cell. The thing with the ethnie cells is they are usually obsessed with what they call white maxing, which is a type of looks maxing. And I'll get into that a little bit later. But white maxing is trying to fix your appearance to appear more white, which is going to fit in with the traditional Western standard of beauty, which they're all trying to adhere to so that they can get a Stacy. There are also female incels. They are called femcells, but there's a whole controversy within the incel community because they believe, some of them, that you can't be a femcel because no matter how bad you look, according to them, you will always, as a woman, be able to get laid. And they even mention how Alana, the one who invented the term, she got laid and was no longer incel. But that for men, if you are in this lowest of the totem pole, then there's no hope for you. And so the only true incels can be male, according to some incels. And those incels call women femoids or foids because they don't see them as human, they see them as female humanoids, femoids. The thing about these kinds of incels is that they do hate women, but they hate themselves more.
For all the anger directed outward toward women, there's more directed inward. In this subculture, people bond over self-loathing.
Jesus fucking Christ, dude. He's shitting his pants. This is what happens.
Wow. Joy says it's therapeutic, but 4 of his friends have killed themselves.
This is a post that I would like to read. It's in the Inceldom discussion board, Venting, Repetitive Hell. It says, life is so effing difficult being incel. I have to wake up every day knowing that I'm way too unattractive to get genuine affection. Why must every other guy that's not incel get so effing adored by femoids? I want to ascend, and currently I've been lowering my calorie intake and started to jog every morning and night for a few kilometers. I'm an ogre with a fair bit of muscle mass, and I think I could do a fair bit of damage to a foid before she got her white knights to mob me. What do you think I should do, boyos? It's either cope, rope, or kill a hoe. This is a common theme that you see here where they joke about having only 3 options. Like this guy said, cope, rope, or kill a hoe. A lot of times they say it's either looks maxing, which means improving your looks so that you have a better chance, or ending it, and there is unfortunately a very high rate of suicide within the incel community. Or the third option is, you know, they call it going full ER, which is going Elliot Rodgers, going on a rampage, killing people. Now, central to this ideology, where those are the only options you have, is the whole red pill, black pill theory. Now, within the manosphere, in other men's rights communities online, there's this concept of red pilling, or taking the red pill, which, if you've watched The Matrix, you know, the blue pill, Morpheus tells Neo, you can take the blue pill, it's going to be comfortable, ignorant bliss. Or you can take the red pill, reality.
And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
And so in the manosphere, when you've taken the red pill, you're awake to the reality that it's women who are causing your suffering. Women are actually the more privileged class. Men are the oppressed class. And this is all due to, you know, the women's rights movement, this and that. And that's called taking the red pill. Taking the black pill is way more extreme, because when you take the red pill, there's still hope. And the only hope an incel has is looks maxing, which is making yourself look better. And that could include things like steroid maxing or gym selling and working out on your body, which a lot of incels try to do. But a lot of it comes down to what they believe is, quote, 3 millimeters of bone, which is their bone structure. They would say the difference between an incel and a Chad is 3 millimeters of bone structure. And there's so many memes about that. And if they were just had better bone structure, they would have a better life. This meme of 3 millimeters of bone that you see floating around is a lot of pictures of incels taking a picture of themselves and photoshopping the bone structure they want and showing how just that little change with the bone structure can change their whole life, which they call bone smashing. And so they go and they look into things like plastic surgery. There's a doctor that keeps coming up over and over again on this forum, and that is the talented Dr. Eppley. Dr. Eppley, some consider him controversial. He's been on some talk shows where they're like, what you're doing is unethical.
I personally would call it unethical. That's just me.
He doesn't ask any questions. He doesn't care. You want the surgery done? I can do it. Give me the money. I'm going to do it. I'm done. He's an expert in the surgeries that incels desire to become Chads. Temple implants, jaw implants, nose jobs, all kinds of things. If you're looks maxing and you're trying to, look better, you still have hope. The difference between an incel that stays online and an incel that goes IRL and starts killing people is whether they're red pilled or black pilled. When you are black pilled or you've taken the black pill, you have given up on looks maxing. You think there's no hope for you. I'm destined to be ugly. I'm never gonna get anyone, so why bother? At this point, life, the outlook is just blech. There's nothing to live for. If you've black pilled, it's very hopeless feeling.
You could call it a defeatist ideology. This philosophy called the black pill as opposed to the red pill. You're ugly, that's why you can't get with women, and that there's no way of stopping it, that society is built against you.
Almost all of the ones who went on shooting rampages were, in their minds, black pilled. The way that the whole black pill thing started was with anger within the manosphere between the incels and the pickup artists.
So essentially incel is an online subculture. And they exist within this thing, the manosphere. It's where you find the men's rights activists, you find the MGTOW, which are men going their own way. You find the pickup artists.
The pickup artists are a group of men online who believe that with psychology and tactics, you can kind of manipulate the situation and get with anyone you want. You play mind games, you pick them up, it's what you say, how you say it, and all that. The incels are mad at the pickup artists because the incels are like, no, you're lying to, you're giving us false hope. It doesn't matter what line I use and how I say it. I'm black pilled, dude. I'm never gonna get anyone. There is a forum that came out within the incel community called PUA Hate, which stands for Pickup Artist Hate. Elliot Rogers was very active on that forum. He then became sainted on that forum because he was an incel that was mad at these pickup artists and their tactics that don't work for him and for many others. When you become black pilled, there's two options for you. You either LDAR, lay down and rot. So lay down and rot, they don't care anymore, they stop trying to look smacks. Or you go full ER, meaning you go full Elliot Rogers. Now, a lot of people talk about going full ER, joke about going full ER. Most of them don't ever go full ER, but enough of them do to where this is an issue. One comment says, for example, ER was a real hero. Without him, the incel community would have never existed. This is when people believe the movement started to become more extreme and how maybe someone could get radicalized from being obsessed and always in these forums where it's constantly like angry and violent and frustrated and I'm gonna do this, maybe one day somebody's gonna actually stop typing and start shooting. The first one was Chris Harper Mercer. He was a self-identified incel, and he mentioned Elliot Rogers too as one of the people who's among the gods and walks among the gods and all that, and he went on a deadly rampage.
Somebody is outside one of the doors, shooting through the door.
Dispatch as many ambulances as possible.
At least 10 people dead, 7 others wounded, 3 critically. The gunman has been identified.
As Chris Harper Mercer. Mercer lived with his mother in this apartment just 2 miles from the school. An officer could be seen questioning her outside. Before he was an alleged mass murderer, he was a failed soldier, lasting a mere month in basic training, according to the military, discharged for failing to meet the minimum standards. The ordeal ending only with the suspect shot dead by police.
Similar to Elliot Rogers, Chris left a manifesto. In this manifesto, he says, one loss after another, and here I am, 26, with no friends, no job, no girlfriend, a virgin. I long ago realized that society likes to deny people like me these things. People who are elite, people who stand with the gods. He's talking about himself. He sees himself as an elite who is being oppressed. Now, although there have been a lot of copycats or people that have, done things in Elliot Rodger's name, nobody did it like Alec Minassian.
It was Elliot Rodger who was the father.
Basically, the founding forefather of the entire movement.
Right, right. So when did you first go on to 4chan?
2014.
2014, and specifically when in 2014?
May 23, 2014.
And how were you able to remember that?
Because I remember that was a very significant day.
Okay. What day was? What was that?
That was when Elliot Rodger decided to essentially commit an uprising, a beta uprising, if you will,
right,
against the Chads and the Stacies. It was a beta uprising.
A beta uprising. Okay.
Although he didn't call it a beta uprising at the time. Someone else who was inspired by him, by the name of Chris Harper, called it a beta uprising sometime in actually I believe it was October 1, 2015.
What about Chris Harper Mercer? What did he do?
He used a gun for all of his murders.
And were these fellas active on 4chan?
Yes.
They were. Have you ever communicated with these fellas?
I actually have, as a matter of fact.
Who did you communicate with?
Both of them, actually.
Really?
We discussed our frustrations at society and being unable to get laid, and we were plotting a certain timed strikes on society in order to confuse and shake the foundations.
All the alpha males, so the Chads.
Yes.
So those are the people that you want to kill?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And who else?
Any of the Stacies who do not wish to give their love and affection to the incels.
So they're a target as well?
Yes.
To be killed?
Yes.
Okay.
So that they acknowledge the incels or the Pepe the Frog types as the more superior ones.
So, okay, so you're saying things that I'm not familiar with.
Sorry.
What's a Pepe the Frog?
But he's a mascot on 4chan.
He's a mascot?
Yes.
Oh, mascot on 4chan.
Yes. I was using a metaphor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he's actually worshipped quite frequently.
Oh, okay. All right. So going back to the conversation with Chris and Elliot, who did you have conversation with first? Let me ask you that.
Elliot.
So how did you learn of Elliot?
Because we private messaged each other on Reddit.
Yep.
After I saw one of his posts, and we just talked about each other, got to know each other, and we found each other very interesting. We both had the same frustrations at society,
right,
despite being separated by distance so far apart.
Right. Did you ever visit him?
No, but I wish I could have.
Yeah. Did he ever come and visit you?
No, but I wish he did.
Yeah. When did you stop having communication with him?
As soon as he was deceased.
Okay.
He told me that he has to go. He is on a very important mission, and he might not make it back alive.
And so what did you say to him?
I kind of had an idea in my head of what he was planning, but I didn't want to think it was true at the time. So I replied and said, I wish you good luck with that.
Right on. Okay.
I felt kind of proud of him for his acts of bravery.
Okay.
I was starting to feel radicalized at that time.
You were? Okay. And when you say radicalized, what do you mean by that?
Meaning I felt it was time to take action and not just sit on the sidelines and to just fester in my own sadness. To be honest, the planning didn't occur until about a month ago. Most of it was actually just thinking and daydreaming.
The thinking and daydreaming, when did that start?
That started about a month after the rebellion in May of 2014. I was thinking that it was a time that I stood up to the Chads and Stacies.
Alec Minassian used a van to ram into a bunch of people in Toronto, and he killed 10 and injured countless others. He envisioned himself truly in the beta uprising or the incel rebellion, like he was at war. He posted on Facebook before his attack, Private Recruit Manassian Infantry 00010, wishing to speak to Sergeant 4chan, please. C23249161. The incel rebellion has already begun. We will overthrow all the Chads and Stacies. All hail the Supreme Gentleman, Elliot Roger. And his mother said that he has Asperger's and that, you know, he doesn't really know how to deal with people, and he pled not criminally responsible because of his mental illness. So I don't know, they were going to see how they have to prove that he didn't know what he was doing is wrong. I think that's the thing they have to prove for that. So we'll see. From the interrogation, it shows like he knew what he did was wrong.
Now, what are you thinking while you're in the van?
I'm thinking that this is it. This is the day of retribution. Just that. That's the only thing that's in my mind. It's just burning in my mind.
Burning in your mind.
Yeah. I see all these people. It's time to go for it.
Time to go for it. And what do?
I floor the pedal.
Yep.
I speed the van towards them, and I allow the van to collide with them.
Okay. And then what happens?
Some people get knocked out of the way. Some people roll over the top of the van.
Okay. And then what happens?
I continue doing that until, in fact, actually, to be honest, the only reason I stopped my attack was because someone's drink got splashed on my windshield, and I was worried that I would crash the van anyway, so I decided, okay, now I wanted to do more, but I've kind of been foiled by a lack of visibility. So then that's when I turned right, and I saw the cops approaching, so I decided to pull over and get out of my van. So I get out, and I point my wallet at the cop with the intent for it to be confused with a gun so that I could be fatally shot.
Do you say anything to the officer?
I actually told him that I had a gun in my pocket, which was untrue.
Right.
Then I twice stuck my left hand in my pocket and attempted to do this just to provoke a reaction. Unfortunately, he didn't react. Right. So then I ended up being ordered to the ground. So I knew at that point he's not going to shoot me. So I've lost. So I had no choice but to just get on the ground.
After Alec did what he did on the very forums that he was on, he was hailed as a saint. Quote, I hope this guy wrote a manifesto because he could be our next new saint. And this sainting thing is very common among the incels. When one of them gets radicalized and does an act of violence, they saint him. So another example of this is Saint Yogacel.
Okay, hopefully this will be clear enough as well. I'd like to talk now a little bit about the 5 marks, the 5 indications of the American nig. I see dreadlocks as the black man's mullet. That should be good for that take.
Was the gunman who shot 2 women to death at a yoga studio a woman-hating incel? In this YouTube video, he paid tribute to Elliot Roger, a self-described incel. The shooting in Tallahassee is the 3rd murderous attack this year in which Elliot Roger has been praised by the accused killers.
Saint Yogacel's government name is Scott Paul Beerley, and you know, he has perfected the duck lip pose. Then he had songs, like awful songs.
I saw you out, so I slipped Euro-hypno when the opportunity shone. I moved in when I saw you were visibly drowsy. Now she's locked in my basement, she'll never say a word. When she screams out in terror, she cannot be heard. I'm not a bad boy, I'm no metrosexual. I have hair on my body, I'm not the epitome of masculinity. I don't get manicures. I'm not ethnic. I'm not part anything. I'm not your type, I'm not your type. He's not your type, he's not your type. So you can just forget about me.
He was also a high school teacher, and then he got in trouble for being inappropriate with the kids. Then he went to the military, and then he got discharged for being inappropriate with the female soldiers. So he ended up going to the yoga studio, shooting up the place, and then killing himself. And then on the forums, he was declared a Saint Yogacel because he shot up the yoga studio. And they said, quote, that this guy is a hero. Women belong in the house taking care of family, not going around yoga studios to fine-tune their bodies for the pleasure of random strangers. And they called the victims spandex-wearing yoga whores. In 2020, there was another attack. This guy was called
Armando Jr. Hernandez.
I'm gonna be the shooter of Westgate 2020.
Oh, no.
Oh my God, someone's shooting at Westgate. Hurry up, please.
Search for the shooter.
What's your name? My name is Armando. Armando what? Armando Hernandez.
He describes himself as celibate. He purposely targeted couples.
He wanted these people to feel the pain that he feels.
He tells the detective that he was bullied in school and wanted a relationship.
Feel like I've been humiliated here and there for like these past times. Load up my magazine. I had all 3 magazines in there. Fire Lisa around.
To get respect.
Yes, to get respect.
He sent a video of the attack to a girl that he was trying to impress.
He used what looks like an assault rifle,
which could probably explain why maybe he had a hard time getting a girl. You know, like it's one thing to send a dick pic, it's another thing to send, you know, a mass shooting video that you're perpetrating. The most recent one that happened that triggered this whole video.
The man known as Jake Davison, aged 22, had murdered a woman at an address in Biddick Drive using a firearm, then left that address, entered Biddick Drive, where he immediately shot and killed a very young girl. He also shot and killed the male relative of that girl. Further along Biddick Drive, he aimed and shot at 2 local residents, a man and a woman. This was a truly shocking event and was witnessed by members of the public.
Jake Davison was deeply resentful of his lack of success with the opposite sex.
You know, the reality is that, you know, love is for the young.
His videos have since been taken off message boards and forums.
The reason why I find his case a bit more intriguing is because there seemed to be some self-awareness there, but it didn't really stop anything from happening. He was increasingly complaining. You know, there was footage of him trying to look smacks. He was working out at the gym and he was really trying. And I guess he was starting to believe that he was black-pilled.
In this day and age, women have nothing but options. They do not want, need, or find average men attractive.
And this is where the hopelessness came in, and you see videos of him saying like there's nothing more I can do.
I just don't have any willpower to do anything anymore. Dude, it's like how many years I've been working out, how many years I've been wanting and dealing with all these frustrations.
He would post pictures of his face asking people, is he ugly?
Posing the question, am I ugly? Brutally honest, and asking users to give him their opinions.
The interesting thing is that he felt black-pilled, but he also was on a forum called Incel Exit, which is where incels go when they're trying to get out. And he kind of mentioned that this was toxic and making things worse for him. So it says here, on August 4th, he posted onto the Incel Exit subreddit, designed for men looking for a way out from the community, suggesting that its toxic views had permanently corrupted him. Quote, I personally don't think once you live this life you can really ever change the damage done. I personally believe my scars and damage will follow me forever. And then he blames the incel's black pill philosophy for why he's feeling so hopeless. Quote, I wish I never came across all this BS. It's just as toxic, negative bullshit. It also makes you feel like any self-improvement you do is never going to be enough. Does anyone else feel this way? And this was in May, so several months before the attack. The last post he ever wrote was on August 10th, 2 days before the shooting, and he was complaining about why his posts on Facebook would not get any likes or any comments. He said, "It reminds you of how forgotten you are, how little you mean." In response to all of this, Reddit has tried to ban the subreddits. It started with, you know, there was r/incel, that was banned, and then they went from incel to braincel, that was banned too, and then there was incel.co, that was taken down, then incel.me, that was taken down. As of this video, incel.is is up. So the point is, you're not going to get rid of any of this by just shutting down the platform. That's not going to fix any of this. I don't know what's going to fix any of this, to be honest. Some people are saying this is terrorism, that it's like a radicalization, extremist, hate group, and should be treated as such. Some people are like, this is a mental illness thing. I don't know. It's very complex. Even with everything I've told you, there's a lot more that I haven't told you. I'd like to know what you guys think about this. I don't agree, obviously, with the killing. I just do think, though, it's important when you, like, and I've always felt this way before any of this, is don't turn people down harshly. Man or woman or anything. I just don't believe in that. First of all, I always think they're going to kill me and rape me and murder me, so I'm like, be nice. But also, just, it's rude. It's not like I would do it if I didn't think they were going to kill me. It's just rude. Someone worked up the courage to come up to you and express interest. Maybe it's awkward and you're not attracted or whatever the case may be. You don't have to be a dick about it, or, you know, just be like, you know, whatever, I'm sorry. I always say I'm in a relationship and I'm faithful, I'm happy, and it's not about you, it's me. That way I don't want to say I'm not into you, you're not my type. I feel like that's mean, and I don't want to say that. At the same time, you know, take no for an answer kind of thing. You can't get with someone, you can't get with someone. They don't owe you to get with you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.